Welcome to another edition of The Gloves Are Off with yours truly, Grant Browning, and I have special guests. I've been excited to do this. I've been counting down the time to do this because we wanted to do it with the right timing. So I have special guest, Miss Trish Browning, and yes, the name is the same for a reason. She's my wife. We have been building our business together for over 11 years, and this whole subject today is actually on building the business as a couple, the dreams, the struggles, the victories. Trust me, guys, working with me isn't always easy.
That's correct.
I'm the type of person that is not always hard on everybody else, but I'm also hard on myself, and I expect excellence. And because I expect excellence, it kind of reflects our organization, what we do. And Trish gets the brunt of it sometimes. So Trish, why don't you tell everybody your role in the company?
So I do advertising sales for the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I also I help to organize the Toronto Caribbean Business Social. Office manager, you would say, any kind of, floating around that needs to be done. I'm the one who typically will step in and be assigned those roles here. So a little bit of everything, I would say. So
what's interesting, it's never a dull moment in the office, and it's never a dull moment with me in the office, I should say, because it's always interesting, the things that happen, the things that come up. Chelsea's laughing behind. Guys, make sure you follow Chelsea. She's an amazing camera person, so we got to give her some credit. Anyways, we have been in business for 12 years. We've seen times where $40 was all that we could afford for food. Trish always tears up when she hears that. We've built our business as a family, and I think it's really critical to talk about this because a lot of people either use it as an excuse why they can't succeed, or they never look at the fact that you can actually work together as a team in business. One of the key things is always communication.
That's right.
And it's crucial, right? And being on the same wavelength, being on the same level, and supporting each other is crucial. When we first started the business, I always used to say, when I met Trish, I actually had a previous business and I pretty much lost everything. And I used to always say when I had money that I was always going to meet my wife, I would actually go rent a vehicle that was like an old jalopy or old, a Rolls-Can Harley. So that way she would never be with me for the money that I had or like that. And as luck would have it, when I met Trish, I actually had that Rolls-Can Harley.
You didn't have to rent it. It was all yours.
I had a $200 Pontiac Grand Prix that was it was two-tone, it was blue and rust, and it had an amazing feature that Trish hated. It had a built-in boot washer so that whenever it rained, I would turn and all of a sudden there was a hole somewhere and this water would accumulate somewhere, and it would always happen as soon as I picked her up. And I would pick Trish up and she would get this gush of water that would come out on her feet. And then it was like the second time said after this we're using my car. So so just to give you a perspective, guys, of where we've built the business from, because it's really important, because there's a lot of struggles and challenges when you're a couple building a business, because you don't always see eye to eye. You don't always agree on the same things. And there's been times where, to an outsider, it looks like we're at each other's throats, but sometimes it's just a business discussion. So what would be some of the advice that you would give people?
If you're working with a spouse, you're trying to build a business, I would say some of the key things to consider before getting into that is, what's your relationship with your spouse? Is he or she somebody that you can honestly spend 20 hours, 18-hour days without getting upset with them? Because we had that type of relationship when we first got together. We enjoy spending time with each other. We actually spent all of our time with each other. So that was all, that was easy. You were great at communicating with me at that point. So whenever we made decisions, you'd always say, well, this is what this is what my goal is. This is what we want to do. This is what we're going to work towards. So I always knew where we were headed. So it was easy to follow. So I think it was communication and trusting in you and knowing that you will make, the right decision for our family. So I trusted that what you said that we were going to do was going to work out for us. So there was no fighting you on things like that. So I think those are three of the main things that would come to mind that I would like to share with people when they're thinking of getting into business with their spouse.
Yeah, and there was, of course, a lot of trials and tribulations. There was, and not with our marriage. I mean, with business. I mean, the number one reason why relationships and businesses, relationships and marriages fail is money. Always money. It's always financial. It's always, that's where the arguments come from. And there were times where I remember our landlord coming to the door and we couldn't pay our rent, and we'd hide from him sometimes, right? Or the electrical company would come to the door and literally we had to make it a split-second decision that either we pay for our rent or we pay for our hydro, and we needed hydro, so we had to put the rent off. So, I mean, a lot of people don't see these things, right? But that could put a lot of stress on a relationship.
Well, getting back to that story when you said that we only had $40 for grocery, that was so true. And I remember walking through the grocery store and I'm just picking up everything we need. And Grant looked at me and he's like, "Are you keeping a total of what you're putting in the cart?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "'Cause we only have $40 to get groceries this week." And I'm like, "Oh." So like he would keep a running total of what we throw into the cart to make sure that we have enough. And that was a really hard lesson for me to learn, because I didn't grow up in a very privileged home, but I never had to worry about something as simple as food and how we were going to pay for it. So when that day came and I realized that, no, I can't have everything that I think that I can throw in this cart today, that it made me really think about our business. And going through those struggles, it makes you stronger, because that was so long ago. Having that old vehicle that you had, it's not where you stayed. What are we on, our 6th brand new vehicle? You know what I mean? So like that lasted for a couple of months and that was it.
Yeah.
So it didn't last very long. So the one thing that I would say to people is make sure you know where you want to go and keep working towards it. Because even though we had hard times and we've struggled, there was always something that worked out. As long as we were working towards our goal and the people around us saw, and these are like stranger at the time, because a lot of our family don't know this. They don't know the struggles we've gone through. We've never, went to a family member and say, we needed a couple $100 for a week or two. We've never done that. We've always figured it out, and we've always had help figuring it out. When I think about some of the people that have come into our lives and come into our business and they were just kind and supportive, it's like, wow, thank you. Why are these strange people doing it? But it was because they saw something in us and they wanted to support us. So I thought that was really commendable as well.
And one of the reasons why we are actually talking about this part of our lives is because a lot of business owners, and we see this a lot of times within the community, is a lot of business owners will start a business or have a current business, and they either just start making money or they start generating like a little bit of success, and that's the point where a lot of people will either exhaust the funds that they have.
That's what the celebration begins.
Guys, you don't celebrate. And that's we struggle, but we didn't struggle, because the principle was always, when the profit came in, we looked at how we could reinvest back in the business through branding, through whatever we could to actually get the name out there, to create any type of brand confidence. And today, we're able to relax a little bit more, but even to this day, we still take any profit and we reinvest it back in the business, always.
I won't say relax a little bit more. It's just that we don't have the same struggles. Like, we don't have a $40 struggle. You know what I mean? We don't have, this vehicle is probably going to break down. We don't have those struggles anymore. We have new struggles, and they're bigger struggles, right? But it's getting us further ahead in our business. So yes, there's still struggles, and yes, there's still sacrifices. They're just on a different scale. And it's not the same poverty struggle, It's just a different kind of struggle now.
Well, you're always going to have struggles in business. If you're not doing anything significant, if you're not creating any type of motion in your business, you'll never have any type of struggle. It's the struggles is what first off gets you to learn. It's the struggles that make you great. It's the struggles where you're able to create and find opportunity because of those struggles. And with opportunity, of course, brings profit. So yeah, Trisha's getting all teary-eyed.
Well, I mean, today is a very emotional show, right? Because these are not things that we talk about all the time.
This is stuff that we've never made public. I mean, we've talked slightly about it. I used to say to Trish, I mean, lately I've been telling my story about when I was younger. I lived on the streets. I had the opportunity, and I'm going to say opportunity, to actually eat out of garbage and learn how to find money. And there's stories behind that, and I'm not proud of how I found money, but it was, the police would be on my door. But I used to say to Trish, because Trish used to panic sometimes, and I used to tell her, what's the worst that could happen? Because I've already seen the worst, and I knew that even in the position that we were in, it was nothing compared to the worst that there can be that I've already experienced with living on the streets. It kind of conditioned me so I was able to, I'm actually grateful for those experiences that I had when I was younger. And, if it wasn't for those experiences, we probably wouldn't be where we are today, because I'm able to make the sacrifices because I'm not afraid.
Well, I mean, you've already lived that, so you know how bad it could get, and you've made it through it. So it's like, well, bring it on. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is I wouldn't want my kids to live through that. Eating in garbage isn't fun. But so what we're going to do, we're going to pause for the cause. We're going to pay some bills, and when we get back, we'll get back with some more.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
And we are back with The Gloves Are Off with yours truly, Grant Browning. And The Gloves Are Off is a show on business success, dreams, struggles, and victories. And that's what we're actually here talking about today. I'm actually honored to have a very special guest here today. And it's actually my wife, who is my partner, not only personally, but professionally as well. She's my partner in business. And for those of you that are tuned in that may not know, I'm also the president of the Toronto Caribbean the Toronto Caribbean newspaper, TCN, which you're actually watching on as well, Carib 101 Radio, and we do many other events as well. And the umbrella company is actually Carib 101 Media Group, which is a company that we started almost 12 years ago. And Trish has been with me through every single step of the way, through everything from not being able to afford things to later on being able to afford things to
And having new struggles when you're able to afford it.
She has been with me through all the disappointments, all the guys, when you're in business, and especially when you are in a business that deals with public in general, you're going to experience a lot of different things that come your way. And it's not always going to be financial. It's not always going to be struggles with paying your bills. It could be struggles with people. It could be struggles with, business. I mean, everything that we have, we're self-taught. Everything that we do is self-taught. What you're seeing right now is something that was self-taught, and we have the awesome Chelsea, who is in the back as well, who is doing an awesome job. But this is how we've always built our business. And because of it, a lot of people don't know how to take us because there's nothing that'll stop me. And Trish knows this, right? I'll give up sleep. I'll sacrifice anything to make sure that we succeed. So Trish, why don't you tell your perspective of being on the other side, being the wife, being what many women would say, I'd rather be at home and being with the kids, that typical role that, especially in Guyana, that was a normal thing, but being here in Canada, you've had to take on quite a bit of responsibility.
So I'm glad that you're bringing that up now, because for the last 12 years I've been involved in our business. Both of the children were raised doing, around our business. There are times, I remember with the first kid, there was a lot of hospital visits, and it was, it inconvenienced us. And when I was pregnant with our second child, Colton, it was the same thing. I remember being at the hospital, being checked in, newspaper delivery weekend, and I'm like, you need to go home, you need to go get the paper done, because it needs to get to the printer on time, and there's like nothing you can do here but just sit in that chair and just hold my hand or watch me or listen to me complain about what's going on. And I was mature enough to know that our business came before me, even though I was in the hospital and, pregnant at the time, that we still had a responsibility to our clients to make sure the things were done on time. So it comes with a different kind of maturity. Mm-hmm. There are things that we have to give up. So for instance, today, my daughter is singing in the choir. You don't know anything about it because she didn't say, but this morning she was begging me for me to come and watch her. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot. She's like, well, why can't you not? And I said, because I'm on Dad's show. She says, but he's the owner of the show. He can change the time. And I'm like, no, we cannot change the time. And as much as we have certain freedom, so yes, I have freedom, and yes, I can make certain decisions, but we still have a responsibility to what we do here and who we are. So yes, I can take off one day. I can come in late if the kids are not feeling well. I love the fact that I don't have to call a boss and ask him if it's okay that I take another day off. My children are sick. I enjoy the fact that I can say, well, I'm not coming in because I was at the hospital until 4 with Colton. You know all of this. I will not go into the office today. So I like those freedoms. I like that I'm able to go and pick up Michaela from school at 3 o'clock. And if I have to take her home, great. But there are many days that I come back to the office and I don't leave until 9 o'clock. So there, it comes with the pros and cons. And at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, why are you doing this, right? And just last week, I had this great conversation with Hugh, and he brought something to light, because when I got married and you said you own a business, and I thought I was marrying a businessman that's going to make lots of money.
With a $200 car. And
I'm not going to, I can see past the $200 car. I thought I was going to be this wife, sat at home, took care of the kids, not have to worry about any of that. And it didn't turn out to be like that. But
guys, we all know the story, right? It's called courting. But after you get married, it's called lying.
But I mean, one thing that is really important to me is to be able to take care of my kids and not have anybody do it. I want to be involved, and I'm very involved with their life. I see everything. Sometimes I see too much of everything about them, but I do get to do that. So even though it might not be exactly the way I had envisioned it, I still get to do that. And I was grateful for that, because Michaela is 9 years old, and it probably took me 9 years to realize that, yes, I am living my dream, because I don't think that I would do well at home sitting doing nothing, bored. I would be bored. This brings a new kind of challenge and purpose to my life, but I still get to take care of my kids and spend time with them. So I am very grateful for what we have now.
And, building a business as a couple, I mean, you have to make certain sacrifices because of the fact that now you have two people in the household who are not generating income, because both of you have the same ideas and beliefs, and you're focusing that financial the intake in the house towards other things, you also become susceptible to ridicule from your family.
Yeah.
And we've gone through that, and our family is great, and they only do it a lot of times because they care and they don't actually see where you're going. And I remember reading a story, going off track, but I remember reading a story where they used an analogy of a dog. And they said, picture a dog. Every morning he goes out, you let him out, and he runs to the pier, and he's chasing this seagull. And he goes from pier to pier to pier, and he keeps going back and forth, barking like crazy, barking like crazy. And then they said, imagine taking away that seagull and the dog doing the same thing. You would think he was nuts. You would want to put him down. That essentially is what your family sees, because they don't see your vision. So because of that, they don't understand. And we dealt with so many different things. I remember, why don't you just get a job like everybody else? Why don't you just go and make money? You have to take care of your family. And it would just, if the dream isn't big enough, and now because you have two people that are working on a business in your family, if the dream isn't big enough for both people, and if you guys don't have the same dream and the same vision of where you want to go, that's where the friction can start happening. That's where things can start falling apart. And that's where problems start to happen and your business fails. Accountability is huge. Accountability not only to your customers, like Trish talked about some of the things that we went through. Like I remember Trish being pregnant for Colton, and she went in, and we thought that she was going to deliver that weekend, and I had to go back and I had to go work because it was a production weekend for paper, and I had to run back. And in fact, I think even when Colton was born was a production weekend. He was born. I was there. He got delivered. I sat with her for a couple minutes, and I rushed back home to try and get the paper put together, and then delivered that week. I remember I had to stop halfway through deliveries to pick Trish up from the hospital, bring her home, and then get back on the deliveries, because we can't afford that luxury. And when I say can't afford it, it's not financial. It's because we can't stop, because we have a responsibility to the public. The public doesn't care about our personal problems. If you have that discipline, if you have that accountability in your business, that is where you'll start going places. Today, our family doesn't ridicule us because now they see, and because we have gotten to where we were versus 6, 7, 8 years ago, where the struggle was there. Now they understand. They see that seagull. They understand what we were chasing, and now it's go, 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 right? You can do it.
Well, I remember my mom, when we first started, it was on the entertainment scene, and we would go out to clubs every, Friday night, Saturday night. We would photograph the event. We would promote our website so that we can get more traffic, get more event listing. And my mom, you would say, why do you have to party every single weekend? I'm like, but I'm not partying. But she goes, but you're always out at the club and you come home late at nighttime. I'm like, that is my job. That is my work. That is what we do. You know what I mean? Like in the wintertime when we were flying cars, to promote what we were doing in the dead of winter. And that wasn't all fun.
That's another thing. In business in general, you cannot be too proud to do things. You have to take your ego out of anything that you're doing with business, because I'm telling you guys, if it took me scrubbing toilets to make my business go in another direction, I would have done it. We would go out.
Let me do that. I'm the one who does the cleaning here. He doesn't.
She cleans
scrub
the house.
Toilet.
But no, what I'm saying is I will get down and dirty. If it like there was nights, countless nights where we would fly her till 3, 4 in the morning just because we wanted to get the word out there. And it was a free avenue, because don't forget, we started our business with nothing. Everything that we have to this date has never been on loans, has never been on funding, has never been on anything. It's all through sweat equity. Pure sweat equity. So that's if you have a business and you guys are doing it as a couple, you got to understand two things. You got to understand that first off, you guys have to have the same dream and vision. And number two, you got to be willing to do the dirty work.
And you're going to have to give up time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to use your time.
But to be honest, and we'll get back to that on break, because you're building together, you are spending time together. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying with that, but I mean,
Well, I
people
think,
used to say to us all the time, "Oh, you shouldn't work together because, you know, you guys see each other, you're going to get tired of each other." We get tired of each other, but it's not tired of each other like you don't want to talk to each other. It's tired. It's just like, okay, it's okay to go on a boys' weekend because we see each other all day, all night. It's okay for her to go on a vacation somewhere by herself because she deserves the time sometimes to regroup personally that she doesn't usually get. When you think about it, we've been together 12 years, but it's actually 24 years because the average person doesn't spend the time with their spouse. And with that, we're going to take a break. And we are back with The Gloves Are Off with yours truly, Grant Browning, and I have special guest, my wife, Trish Browning. And today we are talking about the importance of building a business as a couple. It's really crucial. Trish wanted to touch on something. Go ahead.
And that was getting back to
she has the mic
before the break.
The stage. This is normal life here.
This is why
This is why I'm doing it, because I want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible.
So this is your way of riling me up and just get me going?
I have to get her going. So.
Well, what we were talking about is we spend so much time with each other that people say we get tired of each other, but my God, I'm lucky that I actually enjoy spending time with you. And yes, sometimes you drive me crazy, but it's always because it's always when you get to be like a dictator. Because when Grant gets an idea and he dreams of something, if you try to put your 2 cents in there and he does not see it, it gets pretty heated. And some people will know that. So my contribution does not always weigh the way I think it should weigh, and we will get into heated agreements. But the good thing is that is only for work, and it's only
the heat after that is great.
you did not say that.
Cue porn music now. Sorry.
But the good thing is that
and there goes the list of viewers. Sorry, guys.
We're switching to a new network. But then when we go home and we leave it at the office, we just leave it there. And sometimes I get more annoyed than others, and I might need a day or two. But I understand that is work, and it's not our personal relationship. So I might take a day or two to settle down, but I don't hold a grudge. And sometimes you'll eventually come and you'd say you're sorry because you realize that, you may have hurt me or you may have reacted differently. And that really means a lot. So, you move past it and you move on. Getting back to, taking breaks away from each other. Well, that is important hold on. As well.
I want to make sure that we clarify one thing. In business and also running a business with your spouse, having pride is a luxury that you can't afford to have. You have to be able to put your pride aside, because especially like Trisha said, where there has been heated moments working a business together, you have to be able to, first off, the old saying, you want to be right or you want to be rich, is key.
He wants to be rich.
But the thing is that you have to be able to take it into consideration other people's feelings. And as much as you may be right, you also have to understand that sometimes, again, people don't always see that seagull. People don't always see what you're chasing. And that could even be your spouse. Until she comes on to the same presence and same vision as you, sometimes when you have new ideas, you want to take different directions, you have to be able to understand that they may not see what you see. I got Washington calling me. That's impressive. The president is calling, guys. And I just declined his call.
Because you guys are more important.
But going on what Trish was about to talk about was, I find that a lot of people get scared coming into business with their spouse because they're worried that it might destroy a relationship. If your relationship is strong as it is, if you guys have a good bond as it is, and you guys understand each other to the point that you know each other internally, you don't have to worry about it, because yes, you spend a lot of time together, but then when you guys are able, like if you're at home and you have downtime, you don't feel bad if you want to go and do something on your own. If Trish likes to read books, I'm not a book reader when it comes to that stuff, or she likes to watch, TV series and stuff like that. I would rather sit down and watch something to push me forward in some way or learn something. She doesn't always necessarily want to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But because we spend it all the time together, we can afford that time away. And that's really important. Like, I know you're going to talk about the vacations and stuff like that you do, or the time away or whatever. But I think people need to understand, too, that because you're able to build a business together, you don't necessarily crave that time, because that's a big thing, especially in this day and age where, the wife has to go out and work now. You kind of lead separate lives, and you crave that attention later when you come home. You don't necessarily crave that attention as a business owner with your spouse, because you either have that attention or you see each other all the time, to which you're able to go and have really a little bit more freedom if you really wanted to do anything. Not in that way, but yeah.
I wonder which way he was referring to. Well, I think because we spend so much time together, we're in the office, we're working together all the time, we're working on the weekends together. There are some times where it's nice to just be by yourself, whether it is, a weekend alone, or going out and doing something, not as a family, but doing it separately, because the average couple is away from home for probably 10 hours. They don't see their spouse. They have about 2 hours at nighttime where you actually spend time together. So on the weekend, they would typically do everything together. Our weekends are a little bit different. If you're working, I would take off and go and visit my family, or, go do something that I may choose to do, or go away on a vacation for a week by myself. Viewers,
I like her family, so don't worry. But a lot of people would say, oh, but you should do everything together. But the thing is that sometimes you got to remember there's two different personalities, and she might enjoy things that I may not enjoy, or I might enjoy things that she doesn't enjoy. She's not an outdoors person. I am. So because we see each other all the time, we have that luxury that, and the freedom that if, we say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go away for couple days with the boys, or I'm gonna go away even by myself to a cottage or something like that, there's no resistance. It's always, go have fun, go be yourself. And that's important. So
I think you just really have to examine your relationship, see what works for you, discuss things, because at one point for about 1.5 years, you went away every single weekend that you weren't working. Yeah. Right? You were helping your uncle. And I was totally fine with that. I'm like, yes. Your mom used to say to me, I was pregnant at the time, and she used to say, he's leaving you alone. I don't agree with that. He shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, I'm totally fine. I don't have to
I see him every day.
I can watch TV. I used to watch movies on the weekend. I'm like, I can watch whatever I want, and I don't even have to ask, his opinion. I just get to do whatever I want. I enjoyed it. I'm like, go for it.
I want to send a shout out to everybody who's tuned in. This is a little bit more of a crazy show. This is a transparent show. The gloves are off, and today I thought it was important that we really give a behind the scenes of what's really happening here, because Trish is only now starting to come out of her shell and her comfort zone and starting to get into video and stuff like that. I get on her all the time and tell her she has to do it, and she's finally started to do it. So this is actually a big step for her today, is being on here and really talking about personal stuff, because she comes from that old school mentality where
you
it's
don't
like,
tell your business,
you don't tell your
you
business,
don't let anybody
yeah.
know what's happening in your life, you don't share your feelings with people and stuff like that. But like today, it's a whole new level of our relationship, you know, if you ask me, because these questions are coming out and answers to questions are coming out, and the way I would have answered these questions 5 years ago is very different from the way I answer them now. And so, 2 months from now, if you'd asked me certain things 2 months from now, would have been a total different answer, because we have grown since then.
So here's a key thing that actually happens with business owners that are working together as spouses. It's finances. And when I say finances, because of our community and where we work in 99% of the time in, one of the biggest stigmas and one of the biggest things in the community is scarcity. And it's interesting to get Trish's perspective on things, because Trish came from a very different environment. I came from a very different environment.
It's my influence as I was growing up.
My mother is the same thing, and she's awesome. Like, I know she's going to see this and probably cuss me because I'm talking about personal stuff, but my mother was raised the same way with values for money, where you have to hold on to that money. And, you know, a couple $100 is a lot of money. And Trish especially was raised in that environment, being where you came from, the situation that you were raised in, because, you know, at the time it was just your mother raising you and you guys had to make ends meet. So that old thing, you know, a penny a day doubled, you know, all these things is
well, I don't know about that. All I knew was we had X amount of money for the month, because mom would say that this is like, I've got this much money, and if we use it up before the month is over, we're not getting any more, basically, right? And the thing is she would give me money for school, and I would use it out, you know, before day 5 hits, and I'd go to her and be like, I need more. She's like, well, I don't have any more to give you.
and I mean, I grew up very different, and I don't think there was any influences in my life that actually did. I was from when I was a kid that. It's not that I didn't put any value on money, but I realized that it was a fake commodity. It was something that was invented by man and created by machine, right? So to me, I never used to put that value on money where, oh my God, I got to keep it. And when I met Trish, that was the biggest biggest thing that she had to overcome, because she, at first it was, oh my God, you can't spend this money. What are you doing? We don't have that money. We got to pay our bills. Trish actually was so stressed. She actually gave me the bills to take care of because she just couldn't do it. And I'm like, don't worry about it, and all these different things. Guys, we got to take a break in less than a minute. But if one thing that I could really put out there as a business owner is, don't be afraid to spend that money. You can't expect, if as a business owner, if you're holding on to that money, you can't expect people to spend money with you if you don't even want to do it yourself.
Well, that's a whole new topic when we come back that we should go into, because being from an advertising background, and that's what we do here with the newspaper and everything else that we do, it's important to understand that you have to invest in your business, and you might have to stop doing something over here to spend the money on advertising and investing back into your business. But you need to, you got to be able to wrap your brain around that, because that is tricky. So when we come back from the break, we'll get into that, because that is something I know about. It's what I do. So I sell it all the time. So
and something she deals with on a daily basis at home. So we'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
And we are back with The Gloves Are Off with Grant Browning, and we have special guest Trish Browning, who is my wife, and we are talking about building a business as a couple. And it's something that we get asked a lot and ridiculed a lot too from a lot of people. And it's something that we felt that it would be an important subject to really talk about and elaborate and get transparent. Because there was a lot of times I remember, even when we were going through the struggles, Trish used to tell me, don't tell people about this stuff, because you're worried about showing weakness. But there is no weakness if you're strong. You're going to go through situations, and I watched something yesterday. You could never depict your future based on your history, and that is a big thing. Big thing.
Well, when we only had the $40 for grocery, that was very embarrassing. Like, that's embarrassing to me, I find. But now I look at it very differently. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of the struggles that we had to overcome. And I will freely talk that, no, it wasn't a good time in our life, but it happened. We got through it. We're no longer there, and we no longer
made us stronger.
We no longer have a $40
stronger as
problem.
A couple, and it made us stronger in the ability to not worry, because we knew what it was like. Going back to the reference of living on the streets, same thing. I just knew that was the worst that could happen.
And then, so before we break, we were talking about investing back into your business and having to make certain decisions. So I deal with a lot of small business owners and a lot of new people that are starting up. And when you start up a business, you have no idea what it's going to take. You may think you do, but you have no clue what it's going to take. So, whenever you come up with your game plan, you always just put the minimum stuff that you think it's going to take, and you never anticipate how much harder it's going to be. So one of the challenges that people will deal with is they haven't even addressed their advertising budget. They haven't even addressed their marketing and advertising because they just focused on what it is that they wanted to do. So one thing that we have done is, when we didn't have the money, we figured it out on our own. We printed the flyers. We did the legwork to distribute them. We, when social media started coming on board, we started putting in the time and energy there. But what if you don't have the time to do it? Or what if you can't even think of doing it
make the time
on your own? No, but I'm just saying, so let's just say that you don't think you have the time, or you don't have the skills to do it. You have to pay somebody to do it. And a lot of people think that I can't afford $50 a week to advertise. But when you sit down and think about it, if you just redirect your spending, you will figure it out. Because you go to the dollar store, you come home, it's like $30, $40. You go to the fast food restaurant, we bought crappy burger. Like, it didn't even taste good. I don't even know why.
Processed food.
I don't even know why.
That was our best friend because it was the cheapest.
But it's not like, fast food is not cheap. And I get fast food because I'm hungry and there's nothing else to get but that through the drive-thru. And it's like $40 later with 2 adults and 2 kids. So it's no longer cheap and fast food anymore, right? It still costs money. And I tell people, redirect some of that spending and put it back into your advertising. Because I remember with me, when I was trying to hold on to money, I would never want to spend any of it. I would never want to invest into the business, because all I can think about is, what happens if the energy bill is more money? What happens if hydro is more than you anticipate? You know what I mean? Like, I was always in this scarcity mentality, and still it's still like that. I have to work through it, because you don't live for 16, 17, 18 years with a scarcity mentality and then all of a sudden just show up one day and it goes away. It's something that you have to work towards, but you have to start thinking that you can always create more money. You can always do something to create more money, and you need to focus on that. Like, not focus on, I can't afford it, but how can I get creative in earning it? How can I get creative in shifting it from one place and putting it somewhere else that's going to help me grow? I remember when we hired our first employee. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, so
Alyssa's watching. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that our business was just started growing. Yes, we needed to hire and we needed to expand, but we came from the two of us doing it all alone to being able, the advertising contract increased. We were starting to do new things and implement new things. So we needed more manpower. But all I can think about was, oh my God, it's going to cost us so much money every month, right? Like, I couldn't even see past that. Now I'm past that stage. Now when Grant says, we're going to hire someone, all right, great, we're hiring someone. You know what I mean? All I'm concerned about is that they're in line with our culture. They get along with us and they're easy to work with. That's what I'm.
And make sure too, like being in business, sometimes again it stems down to pride, and there's no such thing as a perfect situation. And I know Alyssa's watching right now. When Alyssa first started with us, we were still operating from home. Her desk was literally beside the furnace. And I used to promise her, I promised her, I'm like, don't worry, I will get you an office. We will get an office. It's a work in progress, right? So and I'm laughing because now I look back at it and it's a joke. But I was embarrassed back then. But don't be embarrassed. Understand that I don't like to say it's a journey, but it's a journey because it's a process that you have to go through as a business owner to build and create, especially when you're building it from the ground up and you're not building it with capital. It is crucial. And we only got a couple minutes left. One of the biggest messages I want to get across is, as a Alyssa says, I understand that the struggle was real. As a business owner, especially if you're self-employed, what happens is your business becomes your life. And especially if you're building it as a couple. And we would get ridiculed because of that, and from family members, from friends, and we love them. Like, don't get us wrong. We're not talking bad about them. But I used to laugh because they would come to me and they would say, oh, you're going to burn yourself out. All you do is work. But I look at it as this. My mentor explained it the best, and I use the same thing to this day to explain it, the same analogy. I don't do work. I live work. It's my life. I don't do my wife, not that way, but I don't do my wife. She's part of my life. I don't do my kids. They're part of my life. So everything that you do in business becomes part of your life. Chelsea, don't laugh. It becomes part of your life with you in the center of it. You're the nucleus. You're the one that's creating it. The best thing I heard was on 2 weekends ago, we had a function here, and the speaker that came in said, your world stems between here. Your whole reality stems in between your two ears. It's your brain, and it's your perception and what you see. If you look at it as work, if you look at it that it's hard work, it will always be hard work. If you look at money as being scarce, it'll always be scarce. But understand that there's people out there that have billions and billions of dollars. There's companies out there you can drive down the street no matter what country you're in. There is some industrial sector that's out there that you look at the companies that are out there and there's money being made. So everything stems in between here. And if there's one thing that I can leave everybody is understand that you are in life where you are because of who you are and how you think. And in order to get past that and to get to where you want to be, the number one thing, and Trish will tell you, being that we're here talking about us today, really, you have to go and learn. You have to be willing to learn. We were talking about this in the last show, that the average millionaire reads at least 65 books per year. The guest we had here read 50 books a month. That's crazy. She's going to be a multi-billionaire by the time she's 35, just because of what she does. Understand that as a business owner, you have to be able to make the time. Guys, I don't read. I mean, I read, but I don't like to read. But I listen to audios, and I duplicate my time then. So when I'm driving, I'm listening to audios. When I'm working, doing production, I'm listening to audios. I make use of my time no matter how I do it. Instead of sitting down and watching TV, I make sure I use that time wisely because I understand that we have to be somewhere. I operate every single day, and Trish will tell you this, I operate every single day like I have a timeline. Like literally, something's going to happen in a year from now, and I have to be able to make sure that things are taken care of. You have to operate like that. Otherwise, everything just becomes, I'll put it off, I'll do it tomorrow. Act every day as if it's going to be your last day. And if you do that as a business owner, man, you're going to go places.
So is it a wrap for the day, or do we still
No,
have
you got
some
2
more
minutes.
time? We've got 2 minutes. Well, so one of the most important lessons that I've learned in our 12-year journey so far is having to learn, having to grow, and acquire new skills, right? Like, I mean, this was not my path. Nobody groomed me into being, for the role that I'm in today. So over the years, we've had to grow. We've attended seminars, we've read books, we've listened to recordings, we've had coaching sessions with people. Whenever there was any type of conflict, we've actually sat down with other people and say, this is what's going on. What do you think? And had outside perspective. Now, be careful of who you're listening to.
Be careful who gets in your ear.
And who's getting into your ear. But we were willing to learn, and we were willing to look and seek, the help that we need. There's no way had we not learn and grow and go to people. It's one thing to take advice from your family and your friends that are around you, and it's another to get advice from people who actually are successful in what they do.
I just want to add to that, because I've said this statement, and I want people to that are viewers to understand when I say be careful who gets in your ear. Make sure that whoever is giving you advice, whether it's financial advice, whether it's business advice, whether it's marital advice, make sure, do a check. Do a real check and make sure, do they have what you want? Does the person giving marriage advice, do they have a good marriage, or have they been married several times? Do they, someone who's giving you financial advice, are they currently creating success in some way, or are they just a person who goes around and tries to be a coach? And no offense to the coaches out there, but this is the big trend that's happening right now, is everybody's a coach, but nobody's amassed success. Nobody has amassed any type of thing to say, like, yes, I've actually done this and helped this person and they become a millionaire. I've become a millionaire. I've created $500,000 in my first quarter of the year. Be careful who gets in your ear. That is probably one of the biggest lessons we've both learned, because over the last 12 years, we've allowed sometimes people to come into our lives and thinking they were one way and realizing that the information they were giving was actually incorrect knowledge, and it created friction.
I mean, you're taking advice from people, and sometimes it doesn't, it doesn't really work for you, because you don't have what it is that you don't want what they have. So they don't have the skills or the experience to be able to get you there. So right now, we found ourselves somebody that we like the way they think. We like the way they treat their family. They're very successful in their business, and that's who we learn from now. So, we figured out, who's doing it, who's got a track record at it, what's their family life like, and that's the person that I should learn from, not getting bits and pieces from a whole bunch of different sources.
Our mentor that we use has amassed success he's worth almost $750 million. His family is his life. His business is his life. So when I say make sure that the person is credible, make sure you're getting the information from the right person. We got to finish up, and the whole show was building a business as a couple. Make sure you guys got to find ways to learn, right, and advance what you're doing in your business and even in your personal life, because our marriage is not what it was 10 years ago. It's changed into something else. Everything grows, and if it's not growing, it's dying. So understand that if your business is flatlining, gravity hits it, it's going to pull it down, just like anything else. It's either up or down. So always remember that your marriage, your friendships, your business, everything needs to constantly grow. You need to, just like grass, just like your plants that are out there. You don't grow a garden and not take out the weeds. And the weeds could be friends that are giving you bad advice.
Yeah,
right?
like we've dropped friends over the years. Our circle of friends are very, very small.
So there you have it. We another edition. I think we have to do a part 2 to this. So. So guys, please like, share, comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is important that you subscribe. We would really appreciate your support. Share us out Our whole goal and mission of the station is to benefit the community, benefit those out there. We hope that this show at least has helped those that are business couples building in business. We've hoped that we've been able to give some hope for some people and a light at the end of the tunnel, because sometimes people just need to see that it could be done.
Or hopefully you've picked up just like one thing from today's show that will help progress your relationship and your business. Just one thing.
Makeup sex is great.
I hope we can edit that out at some point.
We're live. So until next week, guys, we'll see you later.